So Google, you know Google, you're not going to use Bing to look up those burning questions, but how did Google become Google?
What's up guys, me again, and I'm out of ideas. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Brian, Google's a search engine, not a game. Why are you talking about Google? That makes no sense. I'll get to that. Just be patient.
Well, it was first created in 1996 as a research project by Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Most search engines at the time used rank results to count how much the search term appeared on the page. They theorized about a better system that analyzed the relationship among websites. This algorithm would be called PageRank. Larry and Sergey brought this idea to a third guy, Scott Hansen, who liked the idea and started programming it. Scott wrote a pretty decent amount of code for the original Google search engine, but before it was officially founded as a company, he left. Eventually, they changed the name to Google, which originated from the misspelling of the word Google. The number 1 followed by 100 zeros, which was picked to signify that the search engine was intended to provide large quantities of information.
Oh my god, I literally have no idea what any of these words mean. I literally just Googled it. Oh.
Now we zoom ahead a few years into the future when Google is, Google, and they decide they wanted to be a quirky little company and give you something to do if your internet decides to fuck out. So they had a man named Sebastian Gabriel develop a game for such an instance. Gabriel got the idea to make a game about dinosaurs when one day he was walking around Walmart and all of a sudden a giant T-Rex looked around the entire ceiling of Walmart and he was like, oh my god, it's a dinosaur, yeah! And, dinosaurs in a desert, and yeah, that's how he came up with the idea. That's a true story that I didn't make up at all. That's a true story. Look it up, but don't actually look it up. Actually, it's not. Disclaimer. Yeah. He then started development. The game originally released in September 2014, but couldn't perform on older devices, so they re-released it later on in December. And that's pretty much all I got for the development history of the game.
So the Google Dinosaur game, or Dino Run, as some people call it, is a game that I have minor experience with. I wasn't one of those religious Dino Run players or anything, but I would usually have fun with it if my internet went out or something, but I think it's time for a full, critical review of the game.
Alright, let's go on the computer, turn the internet off, and bam! Here it is, full access to the game. So Dino Run is an endless runner.
Oh god.
And 20 cents. And join our Discord server.
Controls are very simple, upper space to jump and down to crouch. You are this guy, the dinosaur. These are the enemies, a cactus and a pterodactyl. These are what you have to avoid while running. The cactus has pretty much stayed the same throughout the entire game with an exception of like the height. The pterodactyls are what you gotta watch out for because they vary. Many people when they first play think that you can only jump, then a curveball gets thrown at them when they try jumping over a pterodactyl only to find out you can't. So you discover this little button and now you feel like a god. The gameplay is pretty much the same throughout the whole game, but you get truly skilled when the game turns to night. This is another sort of obstacle because it kind of obstructs your vision for a second while transitioning from day to night. Let's also talk about the graphics. They're okay, they're nothing really special. They were obviously going for a more retro feel here. I'd say more Atari with its super simplistic lack of colors or just very exciting graphics in general, but it obviously has elements to it that an Atari wouldn't have been able to handle, so it's kind of like, between an NES and an Atari. But it also kind of feels like they use this as an excuse for cheap animations. And that was the Google Dinosaur game. Overall, it's a pretty good little game for what they were going for. It was never really meant to be more than a fun little Easter egg in an internet browser. It can be kind of addicting to play, but it's not something I'd ever really play outside of a no internet situation. But the fact that they even thought of something like that is really cool. There are several ways to play the game. You can either disconnect your internet connection, find it online, or download it to your phone. But this one's the classic way and the way I'd recommend.
Oh man, that was it? That was a short-ass game. I don't know. Maybe someday I can look at some other games that I've never played. I don't know. Just a thought.
You want to play more video games, you say?
God, what the fuck? Who are you and why are you in here?
I am the ghost of the backlogs. I have been sitting in Tony Hawk Shred for almost 2 years now, just watching you sit in the exact same spot, talking about games. And you've only given 6 games dedicated episodes, and 4 of them are Mario and the other 2 are this shit.
Okay, hold on a second.
Silence! I've waited so long to hear you say you want to play more games and be more open to other experiences. So here, be careful what you wish for.
God. Oh, God. That is not what I think it is. Oh God. Sonic Forces!